In this video, we're going to talk through the solutions to the final exam review number 6 for semester 1 of Algebra 1. Number 1, it says, given the equation of the line in point-slope form, identify the point on the line. So we have this guy's point-slope form. So remember, that's y minus y1 equals the slope times x minus x1. And what we remember is, if you have a plus sign, that's really minus a negative. So you can think of this as y minus 6 equals 1/2 times x minus negative 5, which means that y1 is 6 and x1 is negative 5. So the point would be negative 5 comma 6. So the correct answer would be B. For number 2, choose the expression that matches the following phrase. 8 less than 3 times a number. Well, 3 times a number, looks like they use n for the number here, so 3 times a number would just be 3n. 8 less than that, well, if let's say like you have 10 cookies and I have 8 less than that, that means I would have 2 cookies, which means if you take 10 minus 8, you get 2. So 8 less than something would mean minus 8. So what this looks like then would be 3n minus 8. If it was 8 is less than, so 8 is less than 3n would be 8 is less than 3n. That would be an inequality, but because we don't have that is, we just have 3n minus 8. For number 3 and 4, consider the functions in the column. So we got 2 functions. Okay, consider the slope of each function. So we're looking at the slope and trying to see how they compare. Well, the slope in this guy, our y is increasing by 4. Our x is increasing by 1. So our slope in column 1 is just 4 over 1, which is 4. The slope in column B, well, this equation is in standard form. It's not in slope-intercept form. But if I convert it to slope-intercept form, I can find that slope. So I get 4y is equal to negative 3x plus 24. Divide by 4 on all of the terms. I get y equals negative 3/4 x plus 6. So the slope here would be negative 3/4. So I would say that 4 is greater than negative 3/4. So for A, it says A is less than column B. Well, 4 is not less than negative 3/4. B is less than column A. Negative 3/4 is less than, yes, that is true. So let's read the rest of them just to make sense. They are equal. No, they are not equal. You can't be determined. Well, it can be because we were able to find the slope in both of them. So B would be the correct answer. For number 4, consider the x-intercept of each function. So remember, x-intercept is when y is 0. So when we go to a table where y is 0, is this guy right here. So our x-intercept would be 4 comma 0 here. In an equation, it's still where y is 0, so I just substitute in 0 for y, and I get 3x is equal to 24. When I divide both sides by 3, I get x is equal to, excuse me, 8. So the x-intercept here would be 8 comma 0. Well, in this case, the x-intercept for B is greater than the x-intercept for A. So here for A it says A is greater than B. That's not true. B is greater than A. That is true. They are equal. No, they are not. Can that be determined? Well, it can be because we just found the x-intercepts. Switching down to number 5, it says given this formula, solve for H. When it says solve for H, it means I want H equals. So when I look at this equation, I want to get H by itself, which means I want to get rid of M and G. Well, it's mg times h. So the inverse of multiplying by mg is dividing by mg. So I can divide both sides by mg. When I do that, that divides out. On the right-hand side, I'll just be left with h. On the left-hand side, I will be left with u divided by mg. I can't simplify that because they don't have anything that are common factors to divide out. So h equals u divided by mg. Boom. C is your correct answer. Flipping to the back. Number 6, which graph best represents a kitten's weight for the first 2 years after birth? If from its birth to when it's 2 years old, its weight increases steadily and afterwards remains constant. So we're looking from 0 to 2 years, it's increasing steadily and then stays constant. So not changing. So from 2 years on, it's going to stay constant. Well, constant means it's not changing, so it's going to be a horizontal line. So I know at the end I'm going to have a horizontal line, and then at the beginning I'm going to increase at a steady rate. So when I look at that, this one is just increasing at a steady rate, but it doesn't show that it remains constant. So A would not be correct. Here, it's almost opposite of what we want. At first, it's steady, right? And then it increases. That's not going to work. For B, we see we're increasing pretty steadily. Then it stays constant. I'm thinking B is the correct answer. Let's look over at D. Here, we're steady, increase a lot, but that's not even a function, so that won't really work. And then steady, so that doesn't make sense. So B would be our correct answer. Number 7 says write an equation of the function that has the following function value. So notice all of our answers are in slope-intercept form. So we'll have to keep that in mind. Here, we're given input and output values that we could write as an ordered pair. And when we have 2 points, we can first find the slope. So we can do it slope formula or the table. I'm just going to do the slope formula. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. That becomes a negative 10 over a positive 2. Or our slope is negative 5. So right away, let's look at the answers. I can see that slope of positive 5 will not be the correct answer. So we can find the slope. It's either this guy or this guy. B is not possible, but I'm thinking it's going to be possible. If I found the slope and I have points, I can find it. So let's see if we can find this. We have slope and 2 points. I like to use point-slope form if I have a point and a slope. So I'm going to do y. I can choose either one. Let's just start with the first one. Y minus y1 equals our slope, which was negative 5. Times x minus x1, but we know we said when it was minus and x1 is really plus, or minus and negative is really plus. So y minus 6 is equal to negative 5x. If I distribute that, minus 15. I add 6 to both sides. I get y equals a negative 5x minus 9. So when I look at that, yep, A would be the correct answer. We got it. Now you could also make a table. Sometimes it's helpful to see what we got in a table. So negative 3 and 6. Negative 2 we don't know. Negative 1 is negative 4. 0, 1, 2. So if we look at this, to go from 6 to negative 4, we decrease by 10, which means in the middle, we would just decrease by 5. That's how we found that slope. So that would be 1. Decrease by 5 again, negative 9. Decrease by 5 again, negative 14, negative 19. So if we keep this pattern here, we could find the y-intercept by making a table, and then we wouldn't have to use point-slope form. There's our y-intercept, and here's our answer. So 2 different ways to do this problem. For number 8, it says solve the system of equations. Well, we know a system of equations, the solution will be x comma y that satisfies both of them. We can solve this system by substitution, elimination, or by graphing. Graphing I'm not really going to bother doing because I don't have a graph, and they're not in slope-intercept form, so it's not like I can use a graphing calculator quickly. So when I look at this, I see x is all by itself. I'm going to use substitution. I can just substitute in for x, 2 times negative 7 plus 5y plus my 6y equals 2. And now when I distribute, I can continue to solve for y. These 2 variables are on the same side, so I'm going to have negative 14 plus 16y equals 2. And now I can do inverse operations to get y by itself. I have 16y is equal to 16. Divide by 16, I get y, because that divides to be 1, is equal to 1. I know what y is, so I know it's going to be something comma 1. When I look at this guy isn't something comma 1, it's 1 comma something. That's not going to be right. Here's a y-coordinate of 1, we're good there. Here's a y-coordinate of 2, that's not going to work. And here's a y-coordinate of negative 1, that's not going to work. So I think already I know my answer is B, but let's just finish this problem to double check it, because we don't want to lose a point on a test just because we didn't finish and check. So now I'm substituting back in to find x. Negative 7 plus 5 is equal to x, or negative 2 is equal to x. So our answer should be negative 2 comma 1, which is exactly what it was. Again, I like to check even still on a graphing calculator, or on any calculator. You could do it by hand. And I guess I really could have done this from the beginning. I didn't even have to solve this. I could have just checked every single one. So if we check this, 2 times negative 2 plus 6 times 1, that equals 2, so we're good there. Negative 7 plus 5 times my y-coordinate was 1. When I press enter, I want that to equal to x, which was negative 2. We're good there, so we have our correct answer.